Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of Couch Potato Queen Survivor Marquesas Recap. This is our episode for Marquesas, episode 7 and 8. So excited for this one. This is two legendary episodes of Survivor. So I'm, with that, excited to bring on our next guest today. She is a big Survivor fan like I am. She's the co-producer of Survivor New York, which is one of those live Survivor games. While you're watching the video, if you want to look down, we'll have the link and everything there for you as well. But I'm going to bring her on. We have Naomi Calhoun. Hi, Naomi.
I did it. I showed up on time, and I'm ready to talk.
Let's do this. We are all ready. I am so excited. I know you're a big Survivor fan as well. Tell us about like your history with Survivor before we get into it.
Well, this is a fun story. I got dumped, and then I was like, I need something to do at my internship because all I'm thinking about is how I got my ass dumped. Can my friends recommend a TV show to me? And my two good friends, Taylor and Sophie, were like, you should watch Survivor. And then it became this group chat with our friend Casey, and I just binged the whole thing. I watched so this was around Millennials versus Gen X time. I watched like 30-something seasons of Survivor in like 2 months. Like
Easy
unhealthy.
to do.
Right.
Easy
but
to do.
I was the same way of like, we were in America's Funniest Home Videos family. We were not a Survivor family. We were a Move That Bus home makeover family, not a Survivor family. So this was something where I had no childhood memories of it, and I just jumped in and I loved it. I've been a TV addict for my whole fucking life, so this was like easy to sort of convince me to get into Survivor. And then I got into the live reality game community, and I've just stuck around since, and they can't get rid of me.
I know this game you co-produced seems really interesting. We'll talk more about it, but I've heard great things about it, this whole thing, so that's fun. All right, well, it's good to know that you're enjoying this season as well, so let's go ahead and get started with that. Two great episodes in Survivor history. So episode 7, starting off, we get to the Maramu tribe. First, they find a human skull. It's basically called a pie, or a ceremony where they sacrificed a human back in the day. Symbolic to what's going on. They're sacrificing people every 3 days in this game. We also have Kathy happy that she stayed and Gina left. Honestly, Gina could have stayed over Kathy. I really think it was super close. So Kathy is very thankful about that. But she knows that Pascal and Nalia are not going to take her over each other. It's not going to happen. Kathy knows she's at the bottom and needs a merge. Over at Rotu, Rob hates the Rotu tribe and really needs a new thing. He thinks Vesepia is fake and kissing everyone's ass. Rob is desperate and ready to do something crazy. He just wants to dig a hole right through the mountain instead of trying to go around it. What are your thoughts on what's going on the two tribes?
The thing that I think was most fascinating in rewatching this and re-experiencing it from the first time, because I don't think I've ever really touched Marquesas since I watched it, is how sort of Vesepia starts to. This isn't her story to tell. She doesn't talk about it strategically, and we never hear her say that she's kissing ass to stick around, but she's 100% kissing ass to stick around. And I think something I thought about in the overall scale of this episode is just like, if the move that happens in episode 8 doesn't happen, can Vesepia climb the mountain over the people that are that would be left to eliminate? Because they always talk about how it's Sean then her, and my thought was, well, she's doing such a good job of kissing ass. Could she have kind of risen in the rankings for a little bit? That, and also Kathy is crazy.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question, though. Like, could Vesepia have made it farther if the big power move in episode 8 didn't happen?
Right.
She had the tools to do it. She has the personality to do it, and she knows how to work with people very well. So I wouldn't say no. She'd have an uphill battle, but I think potentially it could have happened. I think so.
Yeah. My other thought was because we see a lot of her sort of edit is her saying, thank God the tree didn't hit us, thank you God for this day. And I'm curious if even though we know that like Pascal and Nalia are both pretty religious, like I'm wondering if her religiousness both brings in Pascal and Nalia and at the same time makes it harder to vote her out, because you're gonna vote out the woman who's praising God every day to hang around you? Like,
yeah, like
rude.
religion's huge in this season. You have, Nalia and Pascal who are very big on it. Vecepia and Sean were very religious. That maybe bonded Sean and Pascal, who wouldn't really have bonded necessarily, like later into it. But yeah, that definitely could have happened. I could see that. That could have been a reason.
The people really love to like crap on the older seasons for being like not big movie and not cool and whatever they love about modern Survivor. But when you look at like how these people who are not trying to be Instagram influencers, are not trying to be, the next big thing on television, they're not trying to be like Colby and hosting the Alone after show on History Channel. Like they just want to be themselves on TV. And I think people who ignore what is really interesting and authentic about that need to get their eyes checked or their brain checked. I don't know.
Absolutely, I agree with you. All right, so we get to their tree mail. Each tribe is instructed to choose someone to leave, and they have they have to follow a map to a location. So it's funny what happens on Row 2, because it's like Rob's like, I'll do it, and Tammy's like, anybody else want to do it? But Rob ends up being the one chosen. He volunteers, and then Kathy goes for Marami, which kind of made sense to me. She's not going to leave Pascal and Leo. They're going to not want to go. So that made sense. And Rob thought it was an opportunity.
Yeah, and that I was going to say, like, I wish they would do this again on Modern Survivor. It's reminiscent of like Island of the Idols or Ghost Island, where you send somebody away. But I think they do this in Australian Survivor a lot, right? Where they say like, hey, you're going to go hang out with the other tribe, talk amongst yourselves. And like everyone gets sort of paranoid about what you do. And I think that Modern Survivor could utilize this in a way that I don't think they do. And I think would be very interesting if they did.
They're about to film 3 seasons right now, back to back. So, hey guys, put that in.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm smart. I'm a genius. Hire me.
Yeah, put her on production, everybody. No. All right, so we get to the meeting. Jeff tells Kathy and Rob they're to plan the merge, paint the flag, choose the location, tribe name. He gives them pizza and beer. I thought it was funny. Kathy's like, you're going to ask me to eat pizza and pound Coors Light with this guy? Are you serious?
I know. It's like they gave him like one pizza and then like 30 beers. And it was just like, oh my God. Like they're really trying to fuck these guys up today. Like,
they were maybe hoping that Sarah was still going to be there and Rob and Sarah could get it on. I don't know what we were thinking. But
that whole is a mess. And then Kathy's just like, getting absolutely plastered, and I love it so much because they don't. It's like one of my favorite rewards was when like Carl gets super drunk in David versus Goliath, and like pours a beer and Davey pours a beer on his head. Like those are the great rewards because you just want to tempt people with alcohol and get.
I love when people get drunk. When people get drunk, Big Tom got plastered in Africa last season, which we're doing one at a time. It's great. I love when people get hammered. It's so much fun on television. They need to give people more alcohol.
Like Big Brother knows this. Big Brother will be like, hey, do you guys want a bottle of wine? And then Haley's in the bathroom like, why don't you like me? Like you just give them like a little bit of wine and they'll be fine.
I know. Big Brother's its own conversation and why they need to get better casting. So thank God for that. Okay. Which we all know the tea on that.
Bye, Cass.
Yeah, bye. Bye, Rob and Cass. Have a nice day. Let's put on non-racist for once. It'll be great. All right, so we get to back to Kathy and Rob, and she's like, I've heard a lot about you. He's like, I've heard a lot about you. So they immediately start talking about the tribes. Kathy tells Rob that she and Zoe were close, and Rob says, that's pretty funny because Zoe, John, and the rest of the Road 2 people all want to vote you out at Merge. And she's like, what? Now, was this a lie you think Boston Rob was saying, or was this somewhat the truth that they want to vote out Kathy? Because we never heard them say we want to vote Kathy out at Merge.
Yeah, I think what Rob is exaggerating the truth because it's you know what it is? It's the thing in Survivor where if you tell too many lies to too many people and they start to cross notes, you're going to get in trouble because the majority lines, the 4 are saying, hey, Vecepia, Rob, Sean, don't worry. you guys will be here. We'll vote out the other 3. And then they're going to the other team being like, nah, fuck those other 3. We're voting with you guys to vote them out. And it's honestly, I think the problem here is that John is so arrogant in his in just how he plays, where he can't ever conceive of the idea that the 2 people who he's saying I'm going to vote the other person out would talk about it. And I don't know why John doesn't volunteer to go on this reward. That's, I think, the biggest
I don't either.
Why wouldn't you go?
I will tell you, if John Carroll played the game today, I think he'd make up for mistakes he made in this, because I think John potentially could have won this game. In my opinion, he could have won Marquesas, but he got a little too cocky and a little too arrogant. He's like, I'm at the top of this. Screw this. I'm going to do what I want. But he should have kept his eye on the prize the whole time. And there were times where he made little slip-ups where he didn't need to, exactly for what you're saying. John should have just volunteered to go on this, because then nothing would have happened. You know, Kathy wouldn't have been paranoid. And that was like just a domino effect of things that lead up to the next episode, which is the downfall of the Road to 4. So John definitely made some errors. Do I like John? Absolutely. I love John. John is one of my favorite LGBT survivors in the history of the game. Because he was himself. He was genuine to who he is. And I really admired that. I always have. So John's a good one.
He doesn't fit the mold of the typical, like, I think
gay male.
Survivor originally wasn't really doing this, right? They have Richard Hatch, who is someone who, you know, I bet people probably looked at him and some people were like, oh, he's gay, like they didn't know. And then you start to pivot into like people like Colton, who are really just sort of like, you know, this is also like, I live in New York City. I like, you know, vapid gay people in their 20s. It's a thing. LGBT, everybody's vapid in their 20s. But like, and it just becomes this thing where you're like, oh, Survivor is starting to cast people specifically to be the one gay friend in group. And they want them to be sassy and funny and everything. It's the same. It's the same issue we see, like someone like Kemi on Big Brother talk about, where they want her to be the sassy Black woman, and she's like, "That's not me. What are you doing?"
And that's so like, that's not progressive or what's going on. You know what I mean? That's now starting to change. People are just who they are. You know what I mean? And they're not being cast to be the gay guy or the Black girl. It's that people are doing. That's very old school and the wrong way to do things. Now that we're realizing we're being progressive, and honestly, John didn't fit that mold.
Yeah, he doesn't fit that mold. And at the same time, what we have is this really interesting look at, I think overall this episode, one, I think you're correct. You know, like it's like the butterfly flaps its wings and something changes. I think if Dawn just goes to the reward, or anyone, the general, Zoe, literally anyone from that alliance goes to the merge sort of feast ahead of time, whatever, instead of Rob, I don't think Kathy becomes as paranoid. And I think that her paranoia is not founded the way it is by talking with Rob. And then they probably succeed. Like, because they're gonna, Rob's drama and everything Rob stirs up could have still happened, but Kathy wouldn't have believed it. And it's all, you know, we talk a lot about how it's Vesepia and Sean knowing they're on the bottom, and Pascal and Nalia taking the shot. But I think it's Kathy that really sort of brings everybody together to say, like, they're going to fuck this over.
Kathy is the glue that holds the other 4 together. 100% on that. We'll get to that in episode 8. It's definitely, Kathy is a very big player in this game, and people need to give Kathy serious credit in it. She played fantastic. Not at the beginning, but majority of the game she did good. All right, so back to Kathy and Rob. Basically, a funny little moment is Rob asked Kathy what Gina said about him, and she said, "You're a lazy bum and you don't care about anything." Loved the shade. I was like, bring it, girl, bring that shade out. It was great. Rob tells her, if they find out I've said anything to you, they're going to take me out and you'll be next. Rob and Kathy basically make a pact, and then they continue to get plastered. And basically they go to sleep drunk.
I'm really fascinated by this narrative that we see in this season of who is lazy. And in these 2 episodes, Rob and Sean are both called lazy so much. To the point where I don't believe it. I don't believe that Rob is lazy. I don't believe that Sean is lazy, because also on the other side, if you're in a tribe where they're gonna vote you out and you can't really do anything to change it, fuck them. I'm not opening coconuts.
I wouldn't do shit. No, I wouldn't do shit either. And on to Sean. I think Sean's a great player too. I think Sean defied the odds. I think Sean has been a very big voice in the Black community for reality television. I don't know. There was a big push from the Black community of survivors to get casting to change up what they've done in the past. And Sean was part of that. It was Sean. I think Jatio was part of it. There was like a big group that got together. And Sean is very vocal. And I think Sean led the way for, I guess, Black survivors in the future. I think that Sean was a big name for that movement. And I have a lot of respect for him. I think Sean is great. I love Sean. He's awesome. And should be brought back too.
Yes, we see the microaggressions so clearly in this season. And I think if you ever wanted to like explain microaggressions to like a white person, you would show them this season of Survivor, because they can't stop sort of saying, well, I mean, like, you know, Sean is from Harlem, right? And the general's from Queens. Like, I live in Queens right now. Harlem is not that far away, and I go to Harlem frequently. Like, so the fact that they can't connect is, to me, an indicator of the white people banding together and just really not wanting to interact with people who are different than them. And, you know, this is 2002. And I don't know, Giuliani's in office and all that shit. But, like, we do experiences where we're like, we watch Giuseppe and Sean Bond, and this sort of, especially, like, it's a good example of how, like, you can be gay and you can still be racist. You can be a woman and you can still be racist, because all of these white people are just on this alliance are just refusing to give any leeway to Sean. He has to be working really hard for what? So they can vote him out in like 2 days? Like, why does he have to work hard for you?
I know.
Yeah,
I agree with you on this. And I'm happy that at the end of the day, Sean and V get the last laugh, and that's the best part about all this. I love that. Think
the other side of it is, like, when you hear someone saying, like, Survivor's a great, I would love someone to do a supercut of, like, people validating their own stupid beliefs on Survivor, where John is like, oh, Sean's lazy. It's like, no, Sean isn't lazy. He's just not doing anything because you don't want him there, so he's not going to do anything.
I'm not going to do shit if you're going to vote me out. Sorry. Right. Why am I going to work for nothing?
They create the French vanilla fantasy in their head of what is happening on the island. That's not what's happening. You just don't like it.
Oh, I totally agree. So now we get to the merge. So first, Kathy and Rob pull up to the Maraamu camp. They tell them that they're going to row to. It's a fun little segment. I call it the manic segment of Kathy being like, get the knives, get this, get the fruit. It was fun. They give them their buffs. They swim their raft over to row to. The tribes come together. And Kathy instantly is like, upon arriving at the new tribe, I definitely entered with hesitancy. Kathy doesn't trust anyone since Boston Rob gave her the thing, and they're keeping it between the two of them if they strategize. So Kathy no longer trusts really the people that were in the row 2-4. We get the new tribe name, which is Soliantu, which means sacred allegiance to the sun. Robert has a somewhat homophobic comment. Real men don't wear pink. I rolled at that one. Not a fan. And Kathy was saying the new row 2 royalty is taken over in a new shape. And while we were over at Maraamu's, there's new stuff going on. So she's uber paranoid. But Pascal and Nalia tell her all is good, girl. Stop freaking out. So what are your thoughts up to that?
Well, you know what I loved is they took the frantic energy of like, you have 5 minutes to pack your shit up, go, and they put it in the beginning of the show, which I think is more interesting. Obviously, we love the maroonings, but there is something kind of funny about like being like, hey, you know how you was like, because now you have like Wendell building like a bench and a swing and a bed and a headboard. And like, I would love to see them like go to the Winners at Work and be like, you have 5 minutes to pack all this shit up. Go, go, go. And like, they would be so mad. And they would just be like, are you kidding me? Like, why don't, So I think it's so funny. It was such a chaos. And I love that Rob was there. That was kind of my favorite part, is that Rob is there to help them and like help them back on the shit. It also was like very I just moved, and so like it was so viscerally like, oh, like this is what moving felt like. I can't deal with this.
But they had 5 minutes to do a move. They're getting evicted, okay?
That's what it felt like. Yeah. And I love this. This merge is great because nobody can remember the tribe name. Everybody's kind of like, oh, the girls are going to be excited we're wearing pink, but like pink is so iconic, you know.
I love. Have they done like a pink tribe since then?
There's a couple pink tribes.
Like
Cambodia.
Yeah, Cambodia. They had Bayan, right?
Yeah, iconic pink tribe.
Yeah.
What other? Let me just Google Pink Survivor buff real quick.
We'll have to figure that out.
I love to see them for that. You know, that I think the Marquesian pink buff is very, very iconic.
It is definitely iconic. I love it. I would want a Marquesian pink buff. Thank you very much. So that's a good thing. But yeah, you have Kathy paranoid as hell right now. Oh, this is fun. We have the Kathy, Zoe, and Rob chat. All right. So they're all sitting, and Zoe's like basically saying Rob's full of shit. Rob's like, it's saying to Zoe, I find you amazing, Zoe, sarcastically. And she's like, why, thank you. Amazing. Rob calls out Zoe in front of Kathy. We get rid of Kathy first, and then we'd all stay together, right, Zoe? And then she basically denies it. And then Rob's like, tell the truth for once. Honestly, this move kind of tanks his game. I don't think it was smart at all. He should have just shut his mouth and said nothing at merge, and I think he potentially could have been okay. So Kathy, after this, it freaks out. She's like, everyone is telling you something different. She runs off to the waterfall, jumps in the water. She's like, Zoe's lying to me. They're all lying to me. And I'm being played as a pawn. So Kathy has like her mini freak out, and I love every second of it. She's like rejuvenating herself in the waterfall. But she knows she needs immunity. What's your thought?
Well, I think what's so funny is Rob kind of tanks his game here, although I think he knew from the start that he was going. And Zoe being like, why, thank you, is like when I like tell my coworkers, oh my God, thank you so much for doing this thing I asked you to do like 5 hours ago. Fucking thanks.
Thank you.
Like, oh, thank you, Naomi. But it really is like, I think what is successful about this move is not for Rob's game, but it is for Kathy to, it reminds me of like Mafia, where you're a good person and you're just trying to be like, no, please believe me, like I'm on the town side, and you're begging your friends not to vote you out. And to me, Rob is so passionate about how angry he is at Zoe, and Zoe is so gray rocking him and giving him nothing, that if you're Kathy, you're looking at it, you're saying, well, if I was being accused of lying, I would be very upset about that, right? If you're on Survivor and I say, Josh just told me he's going to vote your ass out and I'm telling the truth and that's a complete lie, you're going to be fucking furious.
Exactly. Because in that game, you don't know who to believe.
Right. So to me, it's like Zoe should have not matched Rob's anger, but she should have been upset because Kathy kind of reads the situation and goes, oh, well, Rob is really worked up about this, and Kathy doesn't give or Zoe doesn't give a fuck. So who is telling the truth here? And, my guess is that she instinctually goes, well, Rob is, because Rob cares about what is it's like he cares about what the sentiment is going to be when everybody walks away from this conversation, where Zoe doesn't really care. And that's like kind of what indicates to Rob and to Kathy that like, they don't really give a shit about what happens to any of them. And it's a really horrible way to play Survivor, because you have to like win votes at the end. Like, I don't know what they think they're doing, but especially when the jury phase is like literally about to hit, I don't know how they think they're going to win the game by being kind of dickheads to everybody.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. Amazing. I just my favorite part was really this Kathy freak out. I love a Kathy manic time. Like she gets kind of manic. So there's been periods. I love these because she's just so incredible. And then I don't know if you've seen the All Star season, but I don't really get that much of that from her in All Stars. This is more like Marquesas, Kathy. And I just love it. It's so organic. If I ever had Kathy on this, I would make her have a manic. I'd be like, Kathy, you have a minute to just say whatever you want. Like, just go. Like, see what she
She's
does.
like an early version of Reem, where she just wants to tell
She
you whatever the
was.
fuck she's feeling. Yeah, like
Yes.
she just wants to tell you whatever she's feeling. And we see a lot of scenes of Kathy like going up to people and being like, "But aren't you worried about this?" And they're like, "No, Kathy, we're not worried about this." And she's like, "But we should be worried about this." Like she's the person who's always going up to people and being like, "Guys, like, why aren't we doing anything to win this game?" And I really respect that and admire her because she's the one who fucking saves this season.
Can I say that Reem is like the Miss Vanjie of Survivor? Let's just say that, like, no question. Survivor fans all love Reem. She is the best first boot in the history. Like, the best. No question. Reem is whoever. I think 90% of people would say her.
Yeah, I love her.
Maybe Francesca because she was booted first twice, but
Bro, that's so brutal. How could you do that? I think about that not all the time, but like whenever I remember, I'm like, how could you do that to someone? It's so horrible. And like, oh god, that's it's like the statistic of someone said that like that Nadia and Natalie's genetics have like been voted out like the most times in Survivor history or something like that. That was really funny.
Do you know Andrea?
Miss Belky?
Yes.
Yeah.
You should ask her. She was on the tribe with Francesca. Why vote her out a second time?
When the bars are
full times.
When the bars are back open, I'll be like, how could you do that to Francesca? Also, thank you for being my friend. Yeah, I went to Andrea Belky's like birthday party a couple years back. And it wasn't that long ago back, but I think the pandemic must have hit where we didn't have another one. And Eliza showed up, and I remember just being drunk, and I think Stephen Fishback had tweeted something about like, he had tweeted something about essentially like not confronting racism or sexism or something head on and just like ignoring people. And Eliza had tweeted at him, was like, no, you have to like tell them what's up. And I was just like, Eliza, thank you for telling Stephen Fishback to go fuck himself or something like that.
She's incredible. Me and her, she's Jewish, so it's like the Jew thing. Her and Corinne I love because they're both like the Jew girls. So,
Josh, are you Jewish? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Are you Jewish as well?
Yes, I'm also Jewish.
Stop. Mendelson, are you kidding? Like,
yeah, I know it's all clicking now, but
yeah, come on, we're both Jews. What sector are you?
Well, I mean, I'm bad. That's really
I'm bad too. We're both bad Jews. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Just Long Island, I guess, but I'm not from Long Island.
There you go. It's
Scarsdale, Long Island Jew. I think that's my sect.
Oh, I'm a Detroit Jew. We're worse. It's good. Love. All right, so I love this. This is fun. We need to do a part 2 to this. Okay, so we get to our immunity challenge, and it's a classic endurance challenge that they do at Merge. They have to stand on a platform on the water, and the first person to stand on the platform, the longest wins. They can't touch the platform with anything at all. So, because honestly, I mean, at the end, Kathy wins it, but so many people touch their platform, like, on purpose. Like, Boston Rob touches his platform. Like, what are you thinking, fool? You're going home. You know you're probably a target. Why are you not fighting for immunity? Doesn't make sense. He literally like touched it.
Yeah, and my favorite thing is like in the early seasons of Survivor where you can see Sean do this, where they touch the platform and they're trying to be like, no, I didn't touch it. And Jeff Probst is like, get off your platform, you clearly touched it. But I love that they're trying to sort of skirt production. Like now everybody knows the camera is on you. You are not going to cheat at this game. But back then they were like, you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
So funny. But yeah, Kathy wins. I'm happy Kathy wins because I didn't want Kathy to even be a target at Merge. I want to see Kathy make the jury, okay? Like, I love my Kathy. So I'm happy it worked out for her. Kathy won immunity. We get to Solian too. Rob knows he's on thin ice because he thinks Kathy blabbed to John. Rob, Sean have a talk, and Rob's like, what are we doing tonight? John's like, I don't know. You blabbed to Kathy and told her. And John and the Maramu boys get into an argument. They're pissed because the Road 24 told them they were part of the group and to take out the Maramus, and the Road 24 are playing both sides. Sean gets very heated, and he's like, everybody said, we team. I'm like, Sean's having a moment. And then you got Vecepia in the corner once again saying, too much drama up in here. I love her. John basically confirms one of Rob or Sean are leaving. I mean, like, it's obvious. It's unfortunate. But Sean feels incredibly betrayed by John because I guess they had a moment that wasn't aired where they really talked about how they've, struggled in life or, being minorities in different ways. Sean is a Black man, John is a gay man, and they had like a really come to Jesus moment together. And that like really hurt Sean. So going into tribal council, what are your thoughts about what's going on?
I just think, like, I'm trying to think of the ways that John could have salvaged what happened earlier to make sure that this doesn't happen to him, because it basically leads to him getting voted out, right? I think John's biggest problem is that he can't man up to Rob, because we see this whole conversation in like episode 6, I think, as well, where he's like, no, I'm not lying to you. Like, why are you lying to me? And if John had instead just been like, hey, yes, I want to vote out Rob, we'll go from there. Rather than saying, yes, Rob, Sean, like, rather than mapping out the whole plan, if he had just said Rob, I think he could have swayed enough sort of time or created enough of a buffer to say to everybody, yes, look, we know what's going on, because, and we never really see a scene of John going to like Nalia or Pascal or Kathy to say, look, they're going to tell you these things and they're lies because we needed to make sure that they weren't going to rally the numbers against us. Like, they never have the conversation that would like indicate, yes, I lied to them to protect us. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing, John? Like, all you have to do is say that. And I also, because you said it earlier, I was moderating a live reality game called Live to Give. They did an online org for Sunday, BirdQuest, to raise money for her.
Yep, I know Live to Give because one of my friends was in it. He actually passed away of cancer a few years ago. Do you know Tyler?
Yes, Tyler did Real Foot too, right?
Yeah, he did Real Foot as well. Tyler is from Michigan, so I actually brought him into the community, and unfortunately he passed away, so rest in peace, Tyler. This is probably 2017 he passed away, so it's about 4 years ago, but I knew him because he also played Live to Give one of the seasons. I know Brandon hosts it, right?
Yeah, and so they did a charity fundraiser for Sunday, obviously, and it was an org with all Survivor players, and John Carroll was there, and I got to moderate. Yeah, and so I'm just watching all these people talk, and John Carroll, he knows exactly what he did wrong. He'd go back in a heartbeat, and that's what I love about a Survivor player is, as long as you know what you did wrong, and you're not going to say to yourself like, oh, I'm so smart, they just knew to get rid of me because I was so smart. Like, if you can recognize what you did wrong to get yourself in such a shitty position, then I want to see you come back. I want to see you try again.
I would love to see John Carroll back because I think there's mistakes he made which he could make up for and do very well. I think a lot of people today kind of relate him to Jeff Varner, but I think he's way better than Jeff Varner. Sorry, Jeff. And sorry, John. Like, people do, but like, I think John has so much potential to actually win the game. I do. I think he has a really good charismatic side to him. He can bond with anybody, but he just needs to not get cocky, and that's the problem. And I think he.
I mean, it's been like 20 years almost since he played Survivor, and that to me is somebody who has done a lot of growing, is in a different place, and probably has the keys to success. Absolutely. That I mean, it's kind of like seeing, and not the same, but like when we saw Kelly Wigglesworth come back, or like Kimmy Kappenberg come back. These were like grown women now. You know, they were children on the first season, and now they're grown adult women. And so they played differently, and they played smartly, or, you know, they did a lot of things successfully to an extent. I mean, we never saw Kelly Wigglesworth on our screen during Cambodia, but
I know we didn't at all. We saw more of Kimmy, though. We saw a lot of Kimmy. Kimmy took out Monica.
Yeah, and so we saw these people with maturity and growth, and that's one of my favorite Survivor arcs, is somebody who comes back after a long time That's why I was so excited to see Ethan again on Winners at War. Is because you want those people, and it's a shame that Survivor decided to bring someone back like Ben or Nick when they could have brought back like fucking Vesepia or
I know. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Survivor production learned from that mistake of what happened in 40. I really think so, and I think they'll eventually have like an old school versus new school season where it's a tribe of old school versus a tribe of new school, because there's so many old schoolers I'd love to see back. So we had Lindsay Richter on. I would love to see Lindsay back. Like, that's a Survivor and past that I would love to see have another chance, because the first time she played, she was in her 20s. She was, more immature on that end, but she's grown and become this like beast in the female mountain biking community, and she's really big in that. Like, she's really pro like women, and I think Lindsay could do really well today as well. That's another one.
Yeah, I just helped. Sandra did her sort of Zoom villain night, which I was helping out on.
Really?
And yes, it was so fun. And I have to say, I would kill to see Danielle come back, because Danielle is getting back into it, but she's about to have a child. Like, she's pregnant. And so Danielle was talking, because we got to Zoom with her a couple times just to set everything up, and she would go back. And I think that's another fascinating story to see is Danielle coming back for an old school season. And
I would love to see Danielle.
She's hilarious.
Courtney.
Courtney. I mean, Courtney, of course. Like,
Courtney's my favorite Survivor in the history. So if you know Courtney,
I don't know Courtney. I did spend a little time with her on Zoom, but unfortunately, Courtney is not someone I've added to my address book just yet.
Okay.
Danielle killed me because someone in the chat was, if you get to ask questions, and someone was like, "Were you excited to see Terry on Second Chances?" She was just like, "No."
Amazing. Oh, we got to get back on track. We are not even done with episode 7 yet. All right. So we get to the tribal council. Everyone votes Boston Rob out, including Vesepia, gag of all gags. Boston Rob and Sean vote for John, and Kathy randomly votes Zoe because she's just bitter at Zoe. We all knew it was coming. We knew Boston Rob was the big target, so no surprises there.
Yeah, what the hell is Kathy doing voting Zoe? Like,
exactly. Whatever, Kathy. It's maybe she just didn't want to vote Rob. It's all good. All right, we get to episode 8. Row 2-4 have full control. Tammy's telling everyone they should be happy because he's at least made the jury face in the game. So cocky. Zoe happy that the mood
night of 2. She's just like, guys, we all did it.
You made the jury. You're all gonna go one by one. All right. Kathy's saying Sean would be the next voted off. He's not well liked around camp, and he farts a lot. So we have Sean farting around camp. That's really the editing you're giving him. Great job, production. In the morning, Kathy asked Zoe, was there an alliance formed? Zoe lies and said there was not an alliance. She lies right to Kathy's face. What's going on? Zoe, just tell the truth. Zoe, tell the truth. Kathy will respect you more. And Kathy knows she's lying. Like, what are they thinking here? Like, what's going on? We get a tree mail. They get individual kites to make for the reward challenge. Going into it, Kathy has a little confessional and she sees the pecking order of the tribe. Sean, V, then her. She knows she's third. And then she knows Pascal and Nalia are probably going to be after, and they're being used. Pascal's delusional, doesn't see it. She needs to have Pascal and Nalia wake up and smell the coffee. So they're building those kites, reward challenge. Whoever can get their kite 300 feet in the air gets a Snickers bar and a diving trip. And Kathy wins that. She slays the challenge. What's your thoughts on the kite reward challenge?
I love this Mary Poppins-ass challenge. Just like, go fly a kite, come back, Jeff Probst will give you a Snickers bar. This is like an ideal, I think this is an ideal, like, somebody's had to have a sex dream about this, right? Like, if I go fly a kite, Jeff Probst will come feed me chocolate. And I don't blame them. Like, this is fun. We got young, hot, really into the seriousness of Survivor Jeff Probst, and I love it.
Whoa.
And then they're just like, go fly a fucking kite.
This is the hot Jeff Probst era. You're right. This is. I think everyone would do Jeff Probst, so he is very daddy. Damn, Julie Berry got lucky. And Paul Gosler's ex-wife.
Dawson knew to give that man a hug on your way out. You want to make sure.
Yes. Didn't she kiss him?
I think so. I think on the cheek, which is like
lucky girl.
Get
Lucky
it.
girl. That's some balls to do that. So Kathy wins. She goes a snorkeling trip. It's really cool. She brings the Snickers bar back for the tribe. She can cut that up. Good move, but I don't think it does anything.
John was fucking savage here, where he's like, I mean, she brought a Snickers bar, and it's very nice of her, but I'm still going to vote her out. Like,
he's so cocky. I love it. I love John. It's great.
Yeah.
So the Row 2-4 are using Pascal and Nalia to vote with them to take out the other three. Pascal and Nalia are delusional and don't really see it, and are really smokescreened by Sean. They want to take out Sean. I don't know why. I think this goes back to microaggression. And I marked microaggression next to Pascal because there's a lot of microaggressive comments he makes that aren't taken as racist, but I could see them as microaggressive. There's a few things that remarks like he doesn't want to talk to Sean. He won't work with Sean and V. Why won't you work with V? There's nothing wrong with V. V is sweet as pie. She's like the nicest woman in that game. Why won't you work with her? That's where we go to the microaggressive thing. I think that's very like he's not saying horrible comments, but he won't work with them for no reason at all. So that's where we get to that. We get Tammy becoming John Jr. and acting cocky like John. Sean knows they need to get a majority together to get against John's alliance. He works with Kathy. Kathy is in on it. She's like, we need to get Pascal and Nalia, and I think I can do it. She goes to Pascal. She tries to do it, and he says no. Nalia says no. Pascal saying he will not align himself with Sean and Vecepia. And John lists Nalia and Pascal as 2 free passes. So what's your thoughts on all this microaggressive activity going on solely on 2?
Well, I think overall, like, we know that I don't even know what episode we are anymore. We're still in Rob hasn't come home yet, right? I'm not crazy.
But we're post. Rob already went home.
Okay, we are. Okay. I'm like this all blurred together. I watched it last night and I can't remember. That's how bad my memory is. We are. Yeah. So I think that this is the most interesting part of this is that, like, for some reason Pascal just won't fuck with Sean, and it's like, I don't know. We know Pascal sucks in real life, and we know that Pascal is like a shitty judge, and he's a shitty.
I don't know about him in real life.
Pascal has a lot of scandals of a lot of his court cases were thrown out because he was sleeping with the district attorney that
what?
Yeah, and Pascal's like pretty sexist, and you know he's a judge in Georgia. I think my guess is that Pascal has a lot of what's the word? He has a lot of stereotypes about black men in his head that he is, I think, manifesting onto Sean, which are unfounded. And I just think that Pascal is trying to stick with the sort of danger he knows, right? He's trying to stick with the sort of white people because he says, you know, they're going to take us far. Like, they care. And, you know, there's something about being in an alliance where you know that they like you better than the people on the outside. Where you're like, well, they like me, I'm going to stick with them. You know, what am I going to do? I think it's.
I didn't know about this, by the way. I didn't know that he was problematic.
Yeah, big bad Pascal. I
wonder if Nalia's still close with him. Then I hope she isn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Nalia's a weird one, huh? Nalia always is like online being like, I play Survivor again. We're like, okay, Nalia, calm down. We'll get to you.
I'd love to see Nalia back again too. She's another one. It's like John. I think Nalia needs to make up for her mistakes as well. And I think she could. She's grown up, you know? So that's another one there though. But
yeah, and this is all to say that I think that like Nalia isn't as anti Sean and Vecepia as Pascal is, but I think Pascal is delusional in that he thinks that you're not on the outside, so it's fine. I'll bully the people on the outside because I'm on the inside, but then you become on the outside. And he hasn't reached that point that he will reach of
very soon.
You're on the outside. Yeah.
So we get to the immunity challenge. And this immunity challenge is one of the most iconic moments in Survivor history. They still talk about it to this day, the coconut chop challenge. This is the challenge that changed the face of Survivor as we know it. This moment changed the game, where an alliance showed their cards in a challenge. They took out, first they took out Sean, then they took out Vecepia, Then they took out Kathy. And then the four of them started going for Pascal and Nalia, who are their votes to keep them. And everyone's looking at them like, oh, this shit's going on right now. Like, you have the three that were out first being like, I hope Pascal and Nalia see this. And they're cocky during this challenge to take out Pascal and Nalia first. It comes down at the end to the General and Tammy walks away with immunity. But it really paves the way to what happens next. So what happens after the challenge is Pascal and Nalia come together and they're like, we got to make a move here. We got to come together and change this game because those four are obviously together. They see the light now. They finally see it. So what are your thoughts with all of this? The classic coconut chop, the strategizing.
Yeah, nothing I could say hasn't been said before, but I think the funniest part about this whole sort of situation is Nalia's sort of like rant when she gets back to camp, where she's like, I'm not, whatever she says, she's like, I'm not going to hand them $1 million. Like, she's just so mad about it. And I love that because that is really interesting, is that Nalia is the one who really pushes Pascal. And I was saying sort of before we started that this is like a great example, and I think one of the very, very early examples of people playing Survivor and realizing that they need to play for $1 million for themselves. Like, they really start to, it's not like selfish, because the whole point of this game is that you might win $1 million, and don't you want to win $1 million? Mm-hmm. And I that's what I love about this season in particular, is this moment is, you know, 5 people being like, we have a better shot of winning $1 million if we stick together than if we let these 4 other people take each other to the end. And it's fascinating, and it's really, I think, a turning point in Survivor, because then we see, you know, the seasons to follow where people are actively trying to win, and they're actively trying to play a really good game to ensure that they're with people at the end. You know, we know Rob Cesternino changed the game a lot with Amazon, but I still think that if something like this season doesn't happen and people aren't validated in, you can be sneaky and you can get to the end and you can win, then I think Survivor is really sort of stuck in what it ends up being sometimes, which is like a love fest. And I don't want to vote anyone.
We don't want to love. We don't want to watch a love fest. We don't want that. We want a lot better than that. The love fest is boring AF. I don't want that. So we get to Tribal Council, and the new alliance formed of Kathy, Sean, Vesepia, Nalia, and Pascal takes on the Rotu4 and blindsides John Carroll and sends John Carroll out of the game. He becomes the first member of the jury. It's a fun downfall to watch. He has like a meltdown crying at his confessional post getting voted out, which is kind of iconic. Love you, John. But that's how it works. John is gone. What are your thoughts on John being the first member of the jury?
Well, the thing that shocked me that I'm seeing now is that Zoe votes for John. Like,
yeah.
Has anyone ever like figured out why? Was it like, I don't know why she would vote for John.
Zoe's kind of like all over the place as a player. I don't know why Zoe would do what she did. She's kind of like the female version of Gabe from like who is just like almost like a season 1 type personality who like doesn't know what they're doing. And it's like, what is this? Is this like, I'm just here to chill in camp? Like, I have no idea why she voted John out.
I don't understand why she votes for John, because, you know, he reads it and I'm like, oh, it's going to be 5-4, you know, whatever the vote's supposed to be. And then Jeff Probst is like, oh, no need to read the final vote. And I'm like, because it's for John? What the fuck? Like, I don't know, but
it could have been the 5 of them telling them we have the votes now. Sorry, may have not been a blindside, and they may have told John.
Yeah, because we do have a scene of Pascal earlier saying like, oh, I gave John my word, and you know, my word is the most important thing I have, and then he just goes back on his word.
There's probably stuff we didn't see.
But yeah, that was. I mean, what's there to say other than like, this is such a pivotal, I think, moment in Survivor, and saves the season, and really shows that, you know, Zeke, I think, gave an interview a long time ago, maybe after Millennials versus Gen X, which is that, you know, people on the bottom come together. People on the bottom unite because they want to feel like they're not alone anymore. And that's what happens here. And you got to be careful. If you ever play Survivor, you got to be careful about the people who you are excluding from the elimination.
Yep, because they're looking for a new home.
They're
That's
about
what
to
happens.
fuck you
That's
up.
exactly. Well, with that, that concludes the episode portion. Now we're going to go to our tops, bottoms, and hot mess express for the round. So we're going to start with our top player of the overall 2 episodes. I'm going to go first for top. I would say Kathy. Kathy had a big part in this move. I think we were talking about it earlier. She's really the glue that held together this power move. Of the 5 people, I think that she won that immunity when she needed to. I think she's been in a good position. She's really turned it around from where she started in the game, and I give her props. So Kathy's my top player. Who is your top player?
Well, I think Kathy definitely deserves a lot of respect, but I actually think to me, Kathy is the top, and right below her that I'm going to give this to is Nalia, because Nalia convinces Pascal to make the move. And that is so pivotal. She sees what's going on. She can visualize, the reality. And she gets Pascal to do it with her and jump ship.
Good choice.
I think that's really important.
Definitely a good choice. Okay, who's your bottom player for the round?
Zoe. What the fuck are you doing, Zoe, voting for John? I just think that Zoe's actions really sabotage the relationship that she has with Kathy. Because we hear so much about Kathy being like, me and Zoe got along great. I don't know what could have changed. I don't understand. And Zoe does nothing to repair her bonds with Kathy. And she just lets everything get sabotaged.
I actually also put Zoe. I've also put her because she was just a hot mess. Like, I don't think she knew what she was doing. She was just making random moves, lying when she didn't need to, like voting out her allies when she didn't need to. She could have stayed loyal to them. That's why Zoe's the next to go, because Zoe made some really bad moves. I feel like Zoe's the same astrological sign as me. I'm a Gemini. I feel like Zoe's definitely a Gemini.
I'll go look right now. Let's see.
She's probably not, but I get the vibe. She kind of acts like my sign, like
she's March 17.
So she is a Pisces then, or an Aries. I think she's Pisces.
Zoe's last name is
Xanadakis. Yes.
ZZ. What an initial.
Love. All right. So next we get to our hot mess express. Who is your hot mess express for the round?
My hot mess express in this episode is the Snickers bar. That's my choice.
Which one? The one that's first, or the second one that gets
the one that gets passed around to everybody at camp? That's the hot mess express.
Okay, all right.
You're just trying to repair bonds and be like, "Do you want an eighth of a Snickers bar?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I'll vote with you."
You know what? I'm gonna say the coconuts are my hot mess express because those were just chopped, honey. Done. That's how it works. So my hot mess express definitely the coconuts. I also put Boston Rob, but hey,
yeah,
because he just
Boston Rob angry is so funny, and
I love it,
especially because we have this is raw Boston Rob. This is no.
This is Rob Mariamo, whatever his name is. I'm mixing him up with the tribe name.
Oh,
Rob
the other
Mariano.
hot mess express is the way that Jeff Probst pronounces Maramo.
Were you the one that said that, or did you say this yet today? I think Mike said it in our last episode. He was talking about why.
Mike is correct. Why is Jeff Probst going so hard? He never falters. It's really funny. Oh, man, I love that.
So we have our hot mess express, and now we're gonna get to our game. Our game today is too much drama or drama for your mama. So too much drama or bring on the drama, basically. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a moment in the season, and you're gonna tell me if it's too much drama or drama for your mama. Okay. So first, we're gonna start with Sarah's breasts on the way to the Maramu camp being Cleopatra.
Oh. That is drama for your mama, because if that would have happened, I know that. Well, if I was there, I would have gone to everybody in the camp, be like, "Did you see how she didn't fucking get off the thing? Can you believe it?" I would be like in everybody's ear, being like, "Can you believe this bitch?" So it's drama. I bring it on.
Okay, what about Kathy not trusting anyone on Solianto?
Okay, that's too much drama. That's girl. get it together. You can't tell everybody that you don't trust them, and because they're gonna vote your ass out.
Okay, how about Jeff Probst apparently dating Gina back in the day?
That's bringing on the drama. I would like to see that. I would like to see the red carpet pictures because they got to be embarrassing.
Oh, for sure.
I would love that.
All right, what about the results of the coconut chop challenge?
I think it's so funny that they give it to who? Tammy? Like, who cares? And it's so funny because Tammy at tribal council says something like, "Oh, I never realized how important immunity was," and it's like, yeah, bitch, you get closer to winning $1 million. What are you talking about? Like, Tammy, go away.
All right, we got two more. What about the Gina versus Sarah feud?
That's a little bit of drama for your mama. That's I'll eat some toasted coconut and watch that go down.
Amazing. And then the last one, Rosie O'Donnell hosting the reunion.
Oh, that is drama for your mama. I love it, Rosie. Like,
come back, girl. Come back. Host every reunion.
I'm into it because like Jeff Probst is always like, we love it here at Survivor. This is the best show ever. It's like someone get like Rosie O'Donnell to just be like, so you just showed your whole ass on TV and like we don't like you. How do you feel about that? Like I want Rosie that.
Amazing. All right, well that concludes our podcast for today. I'm Naomi. Where can everyone find you on social media?
I'm at Naomi Calhoun. But the biggest thing is to follow Survivor New York because that is me and Chris Lord's baby. He founded it, made it, all that stuff. And the live reality game community, you can find me podcasting at youtube.com/live-reality-games because we cover any and all homemade Survivor games, fan-made Survivor games. Survivor Maryland, I just covered the last season. Survivor Michigan. And it's great. It's so much fun. It's a real community. So if you think that you want to play Survivor one day, come join the live reality games community because we are here to be your friend.
We will definitely have to work together with that live reality game community. You and Chris Lord hit me up. So definitely, you guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Mendels8. I guess because 8 is the best number. I guess that's randomly why I decided to make it. And you can follow the Couch Potato Queens at Couch Potato Queens. It's Couch Potato QWNZ at Twitter. You can follow us on our Facebook group, the Couch Potato Queens podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We've had survivors on. We are going to be having Lex on this weekend, so I'll be posting that next week. We are so excited. We are interviewing Lex next weekend. We've had Lindsay on as well, so much happening. We have our Drag Race podcast every Friday night. We have Bachelor every Tuesday, and then I post Survivor episodes every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. So make sure to like, subscribe, and remember to always outwit, outlast, and outgay, honey. Have a good day, guys.